Tips, tricks, do's, and don'ts. Central Indiana's
goes wrong,
Welcome to Real Talk, Indiana's premier talk show on real estate investing, where we talk each week about investing your money right here in Central Indiana. The tips, tricks, do's, and don'ts, brought to you by CIREIA, Central Indiana's oldest and largest real estate investing association. Hello there, my name is Vicki Perry, and I'm the Executive Director of CIREIA. We have over 600 members, all active in or learning how to be active in real estate here in the Indiana market. This radio show is available on FM 95.9, AM 950, podcast on YouTube, and www.cireia.org. Join us each week as we talk about how you can make your money more active with better returns and help the community that you live in with real estate done the right way. Now, on with the show.
And welcome. My name is Ron Watson, and I'm the board president for CIREIA, Central Indiana Association. And this is CIREIA's weekly show where we talk about investing in real estate the right way. Our show will help you finally get started in investing in real estate by presenting you with the practical information you need to be successful, whether you're a seasoned investor or just learning. We'll help you get to the next level and find the path that's right for you. Last week, we talked with Will Hall and Dustin Rule, owners of newparadox.com. If you missed that episode, you can listen on the CIREIA channel on YouTube or tune into our website with www.cireia.org and also check our calendar of events. Joining us again today is one of the most successful rehabbers in Central Indiana, Dave Short, broker, investor, co-owner of Perfect Launch Mentoring, and coach extraordinaire. Welcome, Dave.
It's great to be here.
Also joining us are Janet Hocker, attorney, and Eric Downing, operations manager for Hocker Title as a division of Hocker and Associates law firm. Welcome, folks.
Good to be here.
Thank you.
So we wanted to get started. I know, Dave, you had a few questions. Before we get started, why don't you just tell us a little bit about your firm and what you guys do, a little bit of background.
Sure. So I have been an attorney practicing in Indiana for 25 years, opened my firm back then, and relatively quickly became involved in the title insurance industry. That is a facet of real estate law. You don't have to be an attorney to have a title agency, but it sure helps when we run into any types of problems and we can legally resolve them. So I've operated both a law firm and a title agency. We're a First American agent for 25 years in the state of Indiana. We've now expanded into Pennsylvania, and we're excited to keep rolling with it.
And Eric, how did you get started with Hocker Title?
Well, I had been a business consultant for several years, traveling around and working with small business owners across the country, helping them everything from improving operations, increasing revenue, decreasing cost. When my wife and I moved our family back to Central Indiana, I connected with Janet, and she had a need, and I tried to fill that in the title agency side.
So before, I know Dave has a bunch of questions. He works with you guys a lot. I just wanted to get the basics out of the way. So a lot of people, when they buy a house, they buy title insurance, but maybe they don't know some of the basics about what that is. Can you just give us a little bit of background as what is title insurance?
Sure. Title insurance is different from the typical types of insurance that people purchase in their lifetime. An auto policy insurance, a homeowner's insurance policy, those are typically purchased to insure something that may happen in the future. Title insurance is a policy that you purchase to ensure that something that may have happened in the past is protected against, and it protects you going forward because of those potential past bad acts.
Title insurance, most investors like myself, we pay cash for properties when we buy them from other homeowners or banks or other institutions. Why do I need title insurance if I'm paying cash and they're already in title?
Well, as I said, you purchase the policy to make sure that what you are purchasing and paying your hard-earned cash for is going to be clear title. Otherwise, you're virtually taking the word of the person that's selling it to you or the entity that's selling it to you. And if, for example, you find out a year from now or 5 years from now that there was a party in the past chain of title that had a right to the title to the property, maybe by virtue of an estate, they were an heir, and they're making a claim, and if the court would find that their claim is valid and you did not have an insurance policy to defend you, pay your attorney fees, and back that up, you may actually lose the property. So whether you're paying cash or getting a mortgage, as the owner of the property, you want to protect your investment because it is the title that gives you that value.
Eric, in your role as operations manager for Hocker, how do you fit in the whole thing? I know anytime I want to get a hold of your office, you're fairly easy to get a hold of. And so what's your role in the process of the title insurance?
So I help manage the staff of the title company. So from the minute we get an order in from a customer, we have a process that it flows through our office, the file. I call it the life of a file, I guess. But so my role is to help make sure that gets through from start to finish as quickly, efficiently, and effectively as possible.
Okay. Do you guys, when you get the file, you look over the file, obviously you alert us if there's issues with a title policy on this or a title defect lien, or explain some of the things that might be on a title policy that would cause an investor or even a regular homeowner concern?
Well, there's a lot, and I can let Janet speak to some of those too, but some of the more common ones that we see might be like Department of Code Enforcements. We call them DCEs.
Oh, I hate those.
So those are pretty common. But, I mean, you can have everything from hospital liens, credit card liens. I'll let Janet go into some more of the specifics on those.
Typically the things that we investigate for, and we are required by our underwriter to have a checklist, so to speak, of all the things that we are required to investigate prior to saying, hey, the title is clear, or it's clear if we can pay these things off or take care of these things. Doing that is checking all sorts of databases and record books and offices throughout the state of Indiana, as well as federal records for tax liens. But things that can pop up that create defects in the chain of title is a prior mortgage that's still showing on the property that's maybe been paid off but not released, or hasn't been paid off. A judgment against a prior owner, because a judgment against a prior owner creates a lien on the property. That would need to be cleared. There can be property taxes that are delinquent. Again, the code enforcement violations. Those investors out there know, if you work in this business on a regular basis, that local governments are doing everything that they can to make sure that the properties are in good order. And if they determine that they're not, they put liens on the property based on fines. There also could be a missing deed in the chain of title, that it still has maybe passed through on the record books of the county, but there's a deed that's missing out there, and we may need to track that down. So that kind of gives you a little bit of a list of the things that we look for and would need to clear up before we would say you have really good title and it's insurable going forward.
You said something earlier that a lot of people might not understand. What's an underwriter?
So with any title agency in the state of Indiana, basically the country works the same way, because there are underwriters who will say, okay, Janet Hocker and your company, we're going to allow you to be an agent for us. We'll let you issue insurance premium or policies and commitments. In exchange for paying us a premium, we will give you insurance and the ability to say, we're going to actually insure this if it goes, into a claim that needs to be paid. Almost all of your insurance companies, whether it's in title insurance or any other type of hazard insurance, works the same way. And the reason is those underwriters have the deep pockets. They're the ones that you're really relying on and able to actually pay those claims, because title claims can be really large. So title agencies operate as agents for underwriters. Our underwriter is First American. They have lots of agents across the country, but as an underwriter, not only do they pay claims and defend claims if they're valid, they also provide guidance to us on the things that we're required to do to be their agent and give those types of title commitments.
If you have a problem, I know you talked about many of the things that can go wrong. Typically, who is responsible for fixing those things that you identify before the closing?
The title company, the staff, we have a whole department that's called clearance, and they do title clearance, meaning they act as investigators. And some people are just really cut out for it and do a really good job. They actually kind of enjoy tracking those things down. There are times when we will, get to a point where there's only so much that we can do, and we'll reach out to the buyer or the seller and ask for some information, or maybe even some legwork that they would physically have to do. You have to walk over to the neighbor's house and ask them if they'll sign this consent to encroach on the property. It's been there for 50 years, but we don't go out and do those things. We would ask the buyer or the seller. But as far as investigating the records and all of the different types of, online databases, we do that as a title company. We clear that if we can.
So when you're working with your clients, how often do you uncover problems? Is it very common or not very often? I mean, just give me an idea of how many times you run into things.
Well, for our company, I like to say if we can't close it, nobody in Indiana should be able to. I feel that it's not that we don't run into problems, but we like to say that we resolve those, or we say we know how to resolve those by the time you get to the closing table. There really isn't I think there's a misconception when people say, I should have clear title. Why don't I have clear title? Any chain of title that you pull up, those things don't go away. For example, a federal tax lien is on the title, the chain of title, even when it's released. Now it shows that it's released, but it will still show up in the chain of title. We wouldn't even bring that to anybody's attention because there's no reason to do that. Sometimes people will get upset because there's things on there. We just can't make those records go away. Secondly, there may be something that's on the title, but we don't believe that it's valid just on its face, or we believe that it's so minimal of a risk that we would agree, for all intents and purposes, you have clear title. We believe it so strongly, we'll go ahead and give you a policy, and we're not even going to address it. So there's really no such thing as clean title of record. It does happen, but there's lots of things on there. It's all about managing what is the risk for us if we say you have insurable title, and we'll back it up and we'll defend it if we have to.
So we're speaking with Janet Hocker and Eric Downing, and there's a lot more we want to cover, a lot of information as you're speaking there that raised some additional questions for me, I know. And we want to talk about some more things that can go wrong, what can go right, costs, and all of those things. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back after this.
Central Indiana's premier real estate investors association, helping investors for 30 years. Whether you're a newbie or a seasoned professional, CIREIA has a wealth of information for you through meetings, classes, and networking. Check them out today at www.cireia.org.
And welcome back to Real Talk. I am Ron Watson, president of the board of directors. And today we're talking to Janet Hocker, attorney, and Eric Downing, operations manager for Hocker Title, as well as Dave Short, rehabber here in Central Indiana for over 25 years. Hard to believe, Dave, but that's what they tell me.
Just went by.
So my crack research team has provided me with some information that says 1 out of every 3 searches reveals a title or public record defect that's fixed before the transaction closes. Is that more so with abandoned or distressed properties, or does that make any difference?
Well, our title staff, their full-time job is to investigate the title and determine things that can be cleared prior to closing. And some things, yes, they're very easy to resolve, but by virtue of them being on the title as they are, we have to actually disclose them. As far as abandoned or distressed properties, it is likely that there could be some additional problems because the very reason that they're either abandoned and or distressed is probably because an owner had something that happened that caused them to have that abandonment. And normally it's financial. So if there's financial issues, then they're probably not paying the property, staying up with the grass being cut, probably not maintaining the condition of the property. All those things can create problems on the chain of title. And really, it's fairly simple to get the information that's required to fix those issues that appear of record, and we know exactly what it's going to take prior to closing.
Cool. Eric or Janet, I don't know who would be best to answer this. What or is there a difference between a title and a deed, and what does it matter?
Well, I think that the term title is used most often to refer to the deed to the property. I think that's what the average person that's not in the industry on the actual title agency side thinks about. They think about the title to the property being the deed. Title is actually the legal term for the vesting of the property that's of public record, and that determines your interest in the property. Are you a fee simple owner? That's the highest gold standard for title that you have in the property, and that means that you own it without restriction. It doesn't mean that there's not liens on it, but you own it without restriction. And that's more of a legal term, whereas a deed is an actual instrument that actually conveys the title from one party to the other. So one is a legal term, title, representing your interest in the property, and a deed is the way that you would convey that interest. Again, I think that people refer to title thinking that they're talking about deed.
Okay, one of the other questions that I would have is, even as an investor, I understand somewhat, but not all the way. I see in our title policies, there's all kinds of deeds. There's tax deeds, there's special warranty deeds, there's quitclaim deeds. Touch on some of the deeds, and does it make a difference to me as an investor or other investors in the world on how they take the title through this deed instrument?
So first I will say that it really shouldn't make a difference to you what type of deed you get, as long as you have it backed by a title insurance policy. Because if it's backed by a title insurance policy, that means that the title insurance company has made a determination that your title is good. Quickly, the differences between, there's really two types of deeds, a warranty deed or a quitclaim deed. And all the other names are really just variations of that. A warranty deed conveys and warrants good title, meaning the seller is saying, I have good title and I'm giving you a warranty. The way that works in real life is that they give you a warranty, the title is searched, a title insurance company agrees that they can give you a warranty, and they issue a policy. If in the future it's determined they didn't have a good title and there was a problem, maybe some type of fraud had occurred prior in the chain, you would come to the title company and say, hey, I'm making a claim because someone else is claiming ownership of this. You, as the owner, would be protected. Title insurance company would take care of your claim. They'd either pay you the full price that you paid for the policy insurance, or they would defend the title and determine that you do have clean title. And then the title company will go back against that seller because they had made the warranties. You're not required to, but the title insurance company will. So a warranty deed gives you good title and it gives you a warranty. A quitclaim deed just gives whatever they have is what they're conveying. They're giving no warranties. If they have a bad title, if they have uninsurable title, if they don't even own it, that's what a quitclaim is. You have to be very wary of quitclaim deeds. Now, a quitclaim deed still may be good because if you do the title search and you determine there really isn't any issues, they may just not want to give a warranty. You can still get that insured. A special warranty deed is a warranty, but it's special. And you see this mainly with banks when they give deeds out, because they're only warranting the time that they were actually in possession. So again, you would be protected for all of it because you would have a policy, but the title insurance company would want to make sure that everyone beyond that special warranty was also clear and clear, able to be insured. The other one you asked about was a tax deed.
Yeah, like a tax deed is, I've been told they're not as good a deeds as some of the others.
Well, they're not, and they're really similar to a quitclaim deed, even though they're titled tax deed. If you read them, there's no language in them that conveys and warrants. And a tax deed is just a deed that's given by a county because the prior owner has been delinquent on taxes to the extent that the county has taken title back to the property and then they're selling it. The reason that they're so risky, especially from a title insurance standpoint, is taking someone's property away by virtue of them not paying taxes is really serious. And because it's such a drastic move, governments are required to give lots of notice and lots of time for someone to not lose their property. And if they can show they weren't given that notice or the proper time, they can be entitled to get their property back. And the only way that a title insurance company can determine that is to investigate the noticing that went out from the county, and it takes quite a bit of effort to do that. You can clear it up by other ways through a quiet title, but a tax deed is very risky for that reason for title companies.
So Janet, you've convinced me that I don't want to be an expert on deeds, right? There's
Yes.
15 different kinds of deeds. So that makes the case for why you need to spend the money and work with a title insurer. If you have a lawyer, is that I know you're both, so that might be different in your case, but do lawyers do this, or do you recommend that you really need to be a title insurance expert to work with this kind of a process, or what do you recommend?
Attorneys can give attorney opinions. They can use that and give you a report of the title, and they can tell you whether it's clear or whether it's not clear. And if they tell you that it's clear, you can rely on that to some extent. If you had to make a claim in the future, you would file a claim against that attorney, and he or she would have to file a claim against their E&O policy. So might be somewhat risky, but they can give you an attorney opinion only, and it usually is not tied to any dollar amount.
So that sounds to me like not exactly the same thing as a title insurance. And I'm not
It's
a
not.
lawyer, Dave, but that's what I'm hearing.
Eric, what are some of the problems in your position that you encounter that you help the consumer with in regards to into our business and buying and selling houses?
Yeah, so a lot of the things that Janet has spoke to that come up on title as a defect or a judgment or a lien, I try to help the title department be creative in thinking of ways that we can get around that or figure out a way to clear that specific problem. One of our biggest differentiators as a title company is that we are attorney owned, and so we just walk across the hall to one of the attorneys to get their insight and help with a specific problem that we might have. But personally, what I do is I just work with the staff to help us make sure that we're thinking through all of the different issues that we might have and trying to find a solution, and then communicating all of that all along the way with the consumer, with the customer.
Well, one of the things I like working with Hocker & Associates is because you can get to an Eric who can get you an answer in an hour and not 3 days to solve a problem, because we're people, investors are people that need instant decisions and to know what our next step's going to be. And that's probably one of the big pluses with a firm like Hocker & Associates. It is locally owned. The boss is sitting next to the guy that can get to the boss, where sometimes we can't get to the boss.
Right. And we think of ourselves as a boutique title company. We provide specialized services. They're not necessarily services that other title companies can't provide. It's just that we're small enough to get to know our customer better. And just like you mentioned, we want to get the answers. We want to communicate. And we have an excellent staff of people that are great conveying that message and getting answers to our customers.
Okay, cool. Well, that's one of the reasons we like to do business with you, and that's one of the reasons you're a preferred vendor at CIREIA, because of some of the things that we get into that we sometimes can't get ourselves out of.
So that is, we're listening now to Dave Short. We're also joined by Janet Hocker and Eric Downing with Hocker Title. We've got a lot more questions that we want to ask you guys. I don't know if you were prepared or warned about this, but we're going to put you on the hot seat coming up soon. I know there's a lot of...
It's not that hot.
It's
You
not
don't
that
make
bad.
it- no,
But
you don't make
we
it
do
tough
turn the
enough.
heat down in here specifically for that reason.
We can
But,
handle it.
There's a lot of information in the news or stories in the news recently about electronic sending money, wiring money, that kind of thing. We're going to get to that in the next segment because I know there's some really important information we need to talk about there. We also have a tip of the week and a lot more right after this break.
Real Talk, brought to you by CIREIA, Central Indiana's premier real estate investors association, helping investors for 30 years. Whether you're a newbie or a seasoned professional, CIREIA has a wealth of information for you through meetings, classes, and networking. Check them out today at www.cireia.org.
And welcome back to Real Talk. I'm Ron Watson, president of the board of directors, and today we're joined by Janet Hocker and Eric Downing with Hocker Title. Also with us today is Dave Short, a local rehab expert. So we talked a little bit about before the break this idea of how easy it is to move money electronically today. And can you talk a little bit about some of the challenges, the problems, things that can go right and wrong when we're talking about wiring money today?
So first I'll start with, a lot of people may not know that in 2009, Indiana passed legislation called the Good Funds Act. And what that says is that certain thresholds of money spent on property conveyance or selling and buying real estate have to be done in certain ways. And so up to $500 you can do with a personal check. Between $500 and $10,000 you can do with certified funds, a certified check, cashier's check. And anything over $10,000 has to be wire. So that brings up why there's so many wires that take place in real estate transactions is anything over $10,000. As a title company, we are constantly trying to stay on top of what the criminals are doing to try and get to the money. And let me tell you, they're super creative when it comes to, and they have a lot of time on their hands when it comes to figuring out how to try and get to it. So we have to put a lot of pieces in place that both cost us money and a lot of time and resources to make sure that we can take in wires and send out wires securely. A few examples of things that fraudsters might do or criminals might do. For example, there's a common one that they tried to get into an email account. So they might get into an email account of one of our customers, let's say, and from that they can start to track email communication with title companies. What they're looking for specifically are certain keywords like funding, wiring, closing day wiring, funds, things like that. And once they get that, and usually these are the unsecured email accounts like Gmail, Yahoo. People don't realize how really unsecure those email accounts are, and you're talking about a lot of critical information through them. Once they get that chain of communication, they will then try to send the wire instructions, they'll send a change of wiring instructions to the title company. And what they're trying to do is get the title company to say, oh, okay, we have a new wiring instruction form. We're going to send it out to this particular party in this account. And if that was done, then the person expecting the money, for example, maybe a seller or somebody in the transaction, wouldn't get that money, but the fraudster would. So we have different things in place that require people to confirm and double confirm and triple confirm those wiring instructions. We also have a secure portal where those instructions can be sent to us. So that is something that is through an additional agency that a third-party vendor, a secure portal that they can send those instructions and other documents to us.
Janet or Eric, I know when you use the term insurance, you make the assumption that mistakes are made and claims have to be paid, as they are in homeowners. Talk to us a little bit about some of the claims that's been filed against First America as your underwriter. Obviously, they would come through you first. And then what kind of claims have title insurance companies paid, or maybe even specifically some claims that you guys have paid?
Well, I'm happy to report that in the 25 years that we've had a minimal number of claims and even fewer that were actually valid claims. I think sometimes there is a thought process with title insurance that if something goes wrong, your title policy will...
Tricks, do's, and don'ts. Central Indiana's
goes wrong, your
Welcome to Real Talk, Indiana's premier talk show on real estate investing, where we talk each week about investing your money right here in Central Indiana. The tips, tricks, do's, and don'ts, brought to you by CIREIA, Central Indiana's oldest and largest real estate investing association. Hello there, my name is Vicki Perry, and I'm the Executive Director of CIREIA. We have over 600 members, all active in or learning how to be active in real estate here in the Indiana market. This radio show is available on FM 95.9, AM 950, podcast on YouTube, and www.cireia.org. Join us each week as we talk about how you can make your money more active with better returns and help the community that you live in with real estate done the right way. Now, on with the show.
And welcome. My name is Ron Watson, and I'm the board president for CIREIA, Central Indiana Association. And this is CIREIA's weekly show where we talk about investing in real estate the right way. Our show will help you finally get started in investing in real estate by presenting you with the practical information you need to be successful, whether you're a seasoned investor or just learning. We'll help you get to the next level and find the path that's right for you. Last week, we talked with Will Hall and Dustin Rule, owners of newparadox.com. If you missed that episode, you can listen on the CIREIA channel on YouTube or tune into our website with www.cireia.org and also check our calendar of events. Joining us again today is one of the most successful rehabbers in Central Indiana, Dave Short, broker, investor, co-owner of Perfect Launch Mentoring and coach extraordinaire. Welcome, Dave.
It's great to be here.
Also joining us are Janet Hocker, attorney, and Eric Downing, operations manager for Hocker Title as a division of Hocker and Associates law firm. Welcome, folks.
Good to be here.
Thank you.
So we wanted to get started. I know, Dave, you had a few questions. Before we get started, why don't you just tell us a little bit about your firm and what you guys do, a little bit of background.
Sure. So I have been an attorney practicing in Indiana for 25 years. Opened my firm back then. and relatively quickly became involved in the title insurance industry. That is a